oh my god, what's it called, amethyst, like amethyst vines corrupting the like one of the engines of the Hermitcraft. And Ren brought that up in a recent episode where Ren was like, yeah,
uh,
that's still like a thing. We never dealt with that.
uh, uh,
You know, just cash.
uh. Rendog, please. I'm trying to keep track, but I don't have enough notebooks for this.
Sing to me, Cleo, muse of history, of the moon big, and the floating blocks beneath our feet, which twirl through the air and destroy the ground. Sing of the haunting words which chant their name to the sky and earth above. Welcome to FanDive. My name is Chaos.
Chaos is the moon big.
And Andy
Hi,
is
I'm
the
Andy.
moon big. And today we're talking about a bit of an old lore that's coming back to haunt us, and that is the season 8 moon big.
It is coming back to haunt us. It never left.
It never left.
It never left.
There's so much to talk about here, but I wanted to bring it up specifically because in Impulse's Pixel Pulse City, or whatever he's choosing to name the city, there's like a piece of one of the games that Ren and Doc are putting together and like making about season 8, and they put the big moon in there, and it's very fun.
Yeah, so it's Pixel Pulse Valley, and Metro Mayhem is the game that they're having a section of it where they're going through every single season, just very, very briefly, as they're trying to parkour run the way through, because it's a racing thing. But this brought back the lore from previous seasons, and we wanted to talk about Moonbig again, because it was kind of really important to Hermitcraft history. I don't know if they knew that at the time, that it would be such a memorable...
I feel like they did, because
thing.
season 8 they knew was going to be a short season, and so they decided to make it a lore season. The Hermitcraft, like when they do lore, they do like, oh, it's environmental storytelling, this is kind of the vibes of my base, but like to actually put together such a group story that actively affects the world, like the moon destroying the world, like they knew that was going to have an impact.
People have done lore before. The Hermits had done lore before. There has like the Mumbo for mayor, the different mycelium, resistance, all these different. Those were both the same season, weren't they? Were they?
Yeah, because when Scar
Anyway.
ended up being mayor, he removed all the mycelium.
Yeah, that was literally the same thing. Anyway, I think we know when I started watching, but there was not such a distinct overarching lore like that before, because many of these lore things people could, and still do, tap out of it, where they're just over there, they're not participating in that lore. People still do that. But with Moonbig, it affected everything, and everyone was making story bits about it, minus B-dubs.
Yeah, like, but even B-dubs, who was actively not participating, had that moment in the finale where he didn't go anywhere. He didn't react to the moon until it was too late.
And they had, I think everyone used it, but I couldn't say for certain, the animation at the very end of this really large moon that had slowly been getting closer and closer to the planet, crashing into the server and everything dying.
Yeah.
And that was a lot more dramatic, intricate, and epic than you typically see on the Hermitcraft server.
Yes, Joe Hill's the dog catcher versus the world-ending apocalypse. Okay.
Yeah.
The vibes are a little bit different here.
We typically don't get apocalypses that haven't already passed. I won't say bases that are built post-apocalypse, but
yeah, all the
like
punk
said,
vibes this season, where it's like everyone's post-apocalyptic, but like in a fun, punky way.
Yeah, everyone chose a different way to do it. And Scar's, I know this is not to do with the topic, but I'm saying it anyway. Scar's first zoo exhibit is just a zombie apocalypse.
Listen, when you know what vibes like, okay, literally, we cannot pass this fact. Minecraft is literally post-zombie apocalypse, and I want to do a video on it later, but like there's so much evidence that this world was once thriving before being overrun by the undead, and now you're coming through as a new player, one of the last surviving members of the human race, and like, we don't talk about that.
It was more than just a zombie apocalypse, but you're right, that is another episode. Moonbig. I mostly watched Bodum for this, by the way.
Bodum was a very popular perspective that season just because of, like, who was in it. Like, you get some big names on Hermitcraft, and when the big names like to lump up together, okay, that's who everyone knows.
So this was season 8 of Hermitcraft, for those who are unaware.
Ooh, should we do a quick... It's been like 5 minutes. Okay, so once upon a time, Hermitcraft, right? They do things by seasons, and those seasons tend to be broken up by like big updates that they want to jump in between. Sometimes frequently they update in between seasons, but like season 8, they knew it had to be short because the Caves and Cliffs update was only half out, and they couldn't update it past that without like screwing up the season. So it was going to be one of their shortest seasons ever, like literally the only one under a year long. And so they went, okay, we're all going to live really close together, and when it's time to go away, we're going to give a reason for why we have to end it now. And thus, they made the moon slowly get bigger and bigger in size, and then slowly they started to have gravity being affected on the server, where there'd be weird earthquakes, or blocks would start floating up, and then the blocks stopped coming back down and started leaving holes in the ground. And now this was all like a data texture pack, because if you get the world download, everything is fine. But that wasn't the case in the videos.
Yeah, because they do... I will say, Hermitcraft is not a lore-based server. When I'm describing it to other people, I do not describe it as a thing driven by lore. It is mostly driven by the builds that they do and the interactions between people, sometimes creating stories. But it was something else. They do in those videos specifically add that layer of suspension of disbelief. But clearly, if you know much about Minecraft, you would go, that's a weird screen to make it look like that. But also, it's funny lore, where they didn't sleep for a long period of time in order to appease the moon. I think that was the reasoning.
Yeah, the Mooners cult, where it's like you're sleeping too much, you're making the moon feel unwanted, so it's coming closer, closer. So therefore, you give up sleeping. And then B-Dubs had like this add-on story with Scar, where it's like Scar was like, you stole the moon's child, because B-Dubs' base was the moon that season. And it was this whole like back and forth of like, why is the moon coming closer, and what can we do to appease it?
Okay, so this is something that I could not give you the origins of, but because I did not watch Doc and Ren at that time. I have since started to, but I did not do it that season. I remember knowing about them and just bet it's Doc's fault. Don't know how, but I bet it's his. Bet Doc did something funny. It wasn't, but the stuff he was doing, they had their own.
The giant, like, that was like probably one of the first introductions I had to Doc M77, was just like the giant explosion of lightning hitting like the grand opening of the Octagon, because season 8 was really the first time I was getting into Hermitcraft. Like, that was my first full season, and oh boy, was that a way to get introduced to Doc M77.
Yeah, really, it is. I don't remember what I was going to say. Give me a moment. Processing.
His name was Mumbo Jumbo. Her name was Gemini Tay. We need to talk about the Octagon, actually, because it does tie in a lot to the moon. So
that is the segue I was trying to do. Yes, that is correct. So I brought it up.
Doc and Ren were basing together. They had a shop. This was also the season where they made fun of cryptocurrency and NFTs, the derp coins with Evil Azuma. Octagon was part of that, right? And that was like the main first half of their season 8 stuff, was just kind of messing around with that plot point. And then somewhere along the line, a meteor hit their chicken coop. Okay?
Yeah.
Stay with me now, that meteor
Mm-hmm.
was actually a piece of code because Season 8 was secretly a simulation from Gigacorp as the Hermit sailed on the Hermatrix in between Season 7 and Season 9.
Uh-huh.
So this is only relevant if you follow Ren's Gigacorp lore. But according to Ren, the reason why the moon was big was because Season 8 was created as a simulation because the Hermits needed to keep their creative minds active. And the journey between Season 7 and Season 9 would be too long. It would be like 6 to 7 months traveling, and the Hermits can't sit still that long, especially on a spaceship. And now keep in mind, according to Gigacorp lore, we really need to do an episode about this. Each season is a different planet. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, time in between seasons is time spent traveling between planets. Now, obviously, we know what happens when hermits sit still for more than a month at a time. So that's why Season 8 existed. Right. But there was an issue with that simulation. There was some sort of code corrupting virus getting into the system, and it was manifesting as the moon was crashing. Now, I honestly am a little confused on whether or not like the moon crashing was like a way to get the hermits to realize they need to get out, or the actual virus corrupting the system as a whole. Like, I'm like not clear on that.
I'm not clear on a lot of Gigacorp things, to be honest. Seen them, watched them, never understood it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's heavy sci-fi, right? And I have sometimes you just need to sit down and nod and agree to a few things.
I know that's what I do with a lot of hermits, to be honest. Like, I've watched almost every single hermit for a couple of years now at minimum. And let me tell you, there's a good chunk of them that I just kind of nod and agree and go, nice words. You're doing something.
We take all that information and then we go back to the meteorite hitting the chicken coop. And it was basically a way to tell Red and Doc, you need to start getting an escape plan. And one of the ways they had to do that was building this museum oddity thing, and they were collecting hermits' heads. And then they would put things together and ultimately make kind of like an escape pod from the simulation.
Mm-hmm. I don't know a whole lot about that, but a lot of the people did have different escape plans. I remember Tango Tech.
Tango Tech
He
went to
had
the moon.
He built a rocket ship, went to the moon, and was trying to blow it up. It did not work, by the way.
The amount of like angsty fan fiction that has come out of Tango sacrificing himself on the moon and failing. Oh my god, it's such good. Like, honestly, it's so many good ones.
Honestly, due to when Season 8 took place, it was around, I'm going to say pandemic time.
The Great Dream SMP migration.
Yes, I was trying to say it in a more polite way,
No.
but a large influx of new fans that, yeah, we got a lot, and we still get a lot of angst and fan art and fan fiction and things created about that season, because it just stuck in the mind of so many people. You have, to this day, and this person is panicking because what if the moon's big? And this person is doing this because they got trapped on the moon for a period of time. Corrales was floating in space. Good luck with that.
We never got an answer to that one.
Station in space.
Okay, but like,
What's it
when the moon destroying the world is your introduction to an SMP, yeah, it's gonna stick with you a little bit, right?
It did stick with a lot of people because it was the introduction to a lot of people. I was lucky enough to have arrived before then. I think I started watching when Grian joined, though I couldn't say for certain.
That was season 6. Did you watch the Pickle Base?
I did.
Then, yeah.
Beside the point, we still get a lot from it. We still get so much things. I remember there's an animator. Is it Ezrin or something like that? Hold on.
The name sounds familiar.
I want to make sure I credit them properly because it was just a fantastic thing. But they created an animation to show on how far we've come. No, it's not Ezrin. It's Chrisrin.
How far? Dude, I
Kristen?
loved that one. I loved that one.
Which, let me tell you, it's an animation to the Hermitcraft season 8 finale. This on how far we've come. Oh my goodness, I'm so good at speaking. And that video alone, delicious, beautiful work. One of the best fan works that I've seen for Hermitcraft. And also individually introduced an entire crowd of people to the Hermitcraft lore.
Yeah, I believe that animator has actually done like animation for other SMPs. So if you were a fan of that animator and then suddenly this like beautiful masterpiece pops up to the world being destroyed, you get a little curious.
Ooh, yeah, they're fairly popular. Has done a bunch of different things as far as I'm aware. But shout out to you. Loved that. Moonbig.
Mumbo. Is the moon big? We should probably actually talk about all the different ways the hermits reacted, because we've kind of been talking in broad strokes, and now it's like, okay, we have the Mooner cult, but then we also have Mumbo trying to blow up the Earth from, not blow up the Earth, blow up the moon from the Earth, which didn't work, but we appreciate. We have Tango trying to explodify the moon, casually built a whole space station program to do that, which, you know, just cash.
Scar tried to build a spaceship, but he kind of designed it to go down.
Yeah, he built it upside down, which was a great escape plan, we'll say, because they did have a void entrance right there.
Let's go Bodum Hole.
Let's go Bodum Hole. Oh, we have Cub Fan, who, despite living right next door to Bodum, did not participate in jumping into the void. Instead, built a NASA-like program, except using llamas. So, okay, there's that.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes perfect sense. I think Exuma, but it might have been others as well, just like went into the nether.
Yeah, Azuma went into the nether, Cleo went into the end. I know we had a couple of people, I think it was like it was definitely false, who was like, I'm going to build a bunker with my base mate. And then when the time came, was like, I can't actually stay in the bunker, so I'm just going to put an armor stand here so my base mate won't be lonely. And then just took off in the other direction.
Didn't they both do that?
I think so, actually, which is kind of sad, but kind of funny.
Both of them abandoned the plan and were just like, we made this. Bye.
Well, goodbye.
Which could have created so much more angst, but you know.
You know, we also have like all the people who are like, I don't know, I'll say all the people. I can only think of B-dubs right now who like chose to ignore it. And up until the finale, when we had that beautiful animation and you had B-dubs looking up and you could see the fire of the moon reflecting in his eyes. Like, that's, you know.
Oh,
you know.
Animation chaos.
The animation.
I don't remember a whole bunch more than that. Again,
I watched
Bodum.
I watched all of the finales, and I'm like trying to run through. It's like I can really only remember the animation. Like they all had that same animation.
Yeah, no, I remember the ones that I didn't watch as much of. Remember XB? Did XB go in a spaceship too?
Oh, maybe.
There was a lot of spaceships.
There was a lot of spaceships.
Panic. Everyone had the different escape plans or the not escape plans, and then explosions. A lot of people included explosions of how to blow up the moon. A lot of people failed.
There was no victory, only moon.
Well, there was one victory, and that was everyone went good storyline. Anyway, moving on. People who like sad things had a great time.
Yeah, and then in Ren's POV, they all woke up on the Hermitcraft, and they were like in cryopods, and they looked around and went, "Oh, that was weird." So, anyways,
yeah, that was weird.
so that is what the walls of the season 8 area of Impulse's Valley are like. The not a space run area. It's like, why are those weird pods on the wall? Where that's where all the hermits were sleeping when the moon was destroying their SMP.
The moon above, just like so close. We keep referencing it. There's just an iconic moment of Grian turning to Mumbo.
Mumbo?
As they stare up into the sky.
Is the moon big?
This is after they created the cult and we're doing like a whole
So it happens
bunch of different
multiple
things.
times. The first time was like when they're like, oh yeah, I think it kind of is. And then they didn't sleep for a while and they started seeing things and joking around. And then there was that weird glitch where someone was invisible, which was not planned, but was remarkably funny. And then
they added a thing into the game. They added a I don't know what it's called, but basically the different creatures would make different sounds, and so Grian walking around, the villagers would just start saying, "You should get some sleep.
you should get some sleep." Yeah, when the villagers start talking to you, that's when you need to take a break.
Phantoms were saying things. It was bad.
When Impulse tried to like collect phantoms because they're my friends, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people went insane.
So wild that this was Pearlescent Moon and Gemini Tay's first season, and it's like try to fit that into the Hermitcraft lore, where it's like, yeah, we picked them up in between season 7 and 9, and okay, so just go in the cryopods. Don't question what you're about to see in there.
I know I've seen at least a handful of things that was like, if these aren't the content creators and these are just the characters, surely that would mess someone up that the first season was that. Right?
Yeah. And it's like, I don't see enough people joking about the fact that it's like the season the moon went crazy is the season Pearlescent Moon showed up.
No, I've not seen nearly enough of it, but I have seen at least one. I'll have to see if I can find it again. Of she's just a moon goddess, and the moon fell in love with her and was like, "Yes, my child," and was just trying to give her a hug. That's all it was.
I feel like that's what Pearl directly joked about in her episodes.
Could have been. She had a great first season. Let me tell you, that was something else. And we still reference these things, the content creators in the live series, most recent one for us at least at this time, the Wildlife. Yes, that's what it's called.
Yes.
There was a time when they did the time dilation, and the moon was just spinning around extremely fast, and we still to this day, years later, Grian turned to Mumbo and went, "Mumbo,
is the moon fast?"
Fast? It's not just the fandom that refuses to let it go. It just impacted the community so much.
Because again, when this is the first thing you see, you go, okay, I guess this is what we're doing now.
It's something else, and it is something I will praise and cherish and go watch it. If you haven't, go watch it. Go watch Mumbo's version, because Mumbo's hilarious.
I do enjoy Mumbo's. Yeah, and also go watch Azuma Void, because that was also... Okay, wait a minute. If season 8 was a simulation, what the heck was going on with Evil X? Was Evil X also in a cryo chamber?
That's what I'm saying.
Or is just wherever Azuma is, Evil X just ends up also being there?
What if he is the one that's like the glitch thing? It's like the virus taking over.
And like something is still attached to the Hermitcraft. Like during that final animation Rendog showed, where it's like, yeah, it's implied that whatever was corrupting the Hermitcraft was like something physical, and it was like this weird, oh my god, what's it called? Amethyst. Like amethyst vines corrupting the like one of the engines of the Hermitcraft. And Ren brought that up in a recent episode where Ren was like, yeah, that's still like a thing. We never dealt with that. You know, just cash.
Rendog, please. I'm trying to keep track, but I don't have enough notebooks for this.
I hope it gets brought up again, because Ren did talk about how it's like, oh yeah, that'd be a fun thing to do. Like, okay, sure.
It would be.
Okay.
But it's also a kind of fun thing to do that, like, the creator throws it out at the fandom and see if it sticks.
Yeah. I mean, it's stuck.
Sometimes they throw out a concept and it stays for the next decade, and sometimes they throw out a concept and it's forgotten about, and then someone like you and I are watching back and go, hey, that was never addressed.
Hey, that was
going to be fun.
Hey, not to bring up the dream recipe, but you want to know what was never addressed? Mumza possessing Philza. That just happened.
Oh.
And then they never talked about it again.
This is so not our topic of the day. But why is Mumsa universal now in Minecraft YouTube? Doesn't matter the fandom. They'll go, yep, that's just death.
That's just death. Well, there's a lot to unpack there, but we do technically need to get into the Q&A now.
Okay, we can do that. That's fine. What song should I make? I am singing a musical ditty transition.
Woo!
Go.
All right. Well, actually, question number 1: what would be your dream role in a musical?
My dream role is not what I can do.
Yeah, like here's the deal. I have 2 roles in mind, and I think only one of them I could actually pull off. However, if I could just have the vocal cords to be able to be the witch and Into the Woods, like, you know, that
could be fun.
That would be so fun. That or Mr. D from The Lightning Thief. I have the vibes for that.
This may say something about me. I always wanted to be Matilda.
Oh, it says so much about you, but oh.
I always wanted to be Matilda. It's a good musical.
It's a good musical. Yeah, I'm like trying to run through all the musicals in my head, and like, no, I honestly, I think my dream role would actually just be Mr. D from The Lightning Thief. It's such a vibe.
I mean, I did a number of the ones that I wanted to do, but I never got to do Matilda, because like, I got to be Annie, I got to be the Wizard of Oz, I got to be Willy Wonka. I've done a lot of roles before.
One of my favorite musicals, and I don't think it's my favorite due to like the quality of the musical. I think it's just because I like helped put it on, and it was like one of the first things I was like actually involved in that I felt really proud about. But it's Once on This Island, and I'm trying to like go through the cast list of like I could probably say I would want to do one of the 4 gods, but I don't think I would want to do death. I might do the ocean. I feel like I'd do the ocean. That's a good one.
Yeah, that could be. If I have to pick one that's what I could actually do, if not too old for at this point, I want Eurydice.
Oh, Eurydice. Hey, the big artist. And you're working on your masterpiece. Where is she? I can't. I play word association too much.
It's a good musical.
It's a good musical. Let's see.
I like musicals, believe it or not. You never gave me a musical episode.
It's still on the list. We can do it anytime. Whenever I ask you, hey, what do you want to do this week? You never say musical.
Just I forget it happens. We start recording.
We have a whole channel just for like, hey, what do you want to do? Like put random ideas here. And you never touch it.
Yes, I have. Actually, yes, I have. Scroll on that.
Yeah, I think I'm going through my list, and it's yeah, I'm gonna have to say it's The Lightning Thief. That's my answer. Any role from The Lightning Thief. I'll be 4 times cast, like the version I saw where every person played 4 different characters. I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
Do it for you. You know you can win. You do it, you do it for him.
Well, that was actually question number 2. So, question number 2: what gem would you be in Steven Universe?
What gem would I be? Ooh, this is great.
Now, I asked this, and I'm like, I don't think I know enough about Steven Universe lore to actually break down like what crystals are like what attributes. But I'm like, does it matter? They do such a good job at like talking about personalities of individuals.
So when I was younger, I wanted to be Pearl, one of the pearls in Steven Universe, because pretty dance. Woo. But there's enough different types of gems that we've been introduced to at this point that I can't say for certain.
Yeah.
A pearl, but only if it's in my color scheme.
A pearl, but specifically me. Now, I'm trying to remember. Was there an amber? I feel like there wasn't an amber in the show.
I think there is.
Amber. Oh, there isn't. Oh, are these all fan creations? Oh no, they're all fan creations. I'll just do that. I like the idea of amber as a gemstone because it's not a gemstone, it's fossilized tree sap. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be a fossilized tree sap.
Yeah, well, a pearl isn't exactly a rock either, but it is.
But it
Yeah, the person
is.
that I thought of when you said amber was just the jasper.
Ooh, I love Jasper as well. Oh,
I did
maybe
love the
I could
lapis.
be Lapis. I like Lapis. I have a lot of Lapis rocks. I'm just thinking
Lapis
of
is good.
my own personal like rock collection. I'm like, what do I have that is
Yeah.
in this show that I can list?
Let me just get a list of them real quick so I can probably say it instead of just going, yeah, I know, I like the pearls. Oh my goodness, that's a big diagram that I have just found, so you should probably move on before I start thinking too hard.
Okay, question number 3. Your favorite superhero and their specifically what piece of media they're from.
Oh,
Because here's the
see, I
deal.
was just gonna say Spider-Man, but just like the concept of
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
I adore Shazam, like the OG Captain Marvel, but to actually say like I like this specific version, I prefer, is it Ultimate Spider-Man? Yeah, the cartoon Ultimate Spider-Man, not Ultimate Spider-Man as in Doc
Yeah.
Ock. I think that's my favorite version of any superhero.
That's yeah. I'm saying Spider-Man, but I'm saying Spider-Man as a concept because I don't know if I can specify. I mean, Into the Spider-Verse was pretty cool, if you ask me. But even then, I would be picking like all of them.
Yeah, like which version of
I,
which Spider-Man do you like in Into the Spider-Verse?
that's the answer is yes. Spider-Man has always been the superhero that I love to lean towards the
I
most.
think
When I was
Spider-Man
younger,
is
I had a big
actually the most popular superhero, like outranks Superman in terms of like you can recognize him.
good. Good, he deserves it. I will say, when I was younger, I used to be obsessed with Black Widow. She had a hold on
I
me.
wish they did more with
I
that
wanted to
character.
be
Like
her.
even in the comics, I feel like they're lacking in some of like, let's go talk about this character. Like, are you just gonna give her angst or are you actually gonna give her a character arc?
No, angst.
It's always
That's it.
just angst. Listen. If I could specifically say 1970s to 1980s Shazam comics, back when like DC was first bringing the character into the DC world and letting him leave Fawcett City, yes, 100%. But do I think that specific version of that character outranks Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon where he gets to team up with Iron Fist and White Tigress? No. I think that Spider-Man's better.
Chaos, I had an idea.
You had an idea.
I know I've talked about My Hero Academia a couple times now.
Mm-hmm.
Not a part of that fandom. Never watched it. That being said, I've heard about like a washing machine.
Yeah, there's a washing machine hero.
Cool. For the bit, I want to say the washing machine hero because that's funny. That's hilarious. It's a washing machine. That's a
That
superhero.
is
That's hilarious
number 8
concept.
pro hero Wash from My Hero Academia.
That's the power in that man has got to be so great that we have somehow become the number 8 hero. There's a ranking.
There's
Like, it's
yeah,
just, like,
a huge plot point in My Hero Academia is because they're professional showy heroes, they get ranked, and like the top hero was All Might, he was the number 1 hero, and when plot things happen and he has to step down, the number 2 hero, like no one views him as like you're not actually number 1. Like we still think All Might's better than you, and it's like such like a blow that because the number 2 hero, now number 1, was the father to one of like the main character classmates, like it does ultimately like hugely impact the plot, the ranking of the characters.
Okay, sure.
It's important. It's
I thought it was just like the top 5, but it was just like
oh no, there's so
same way as
much.
like top 5
There's
in
so
music.
much.
It's like I believe you.
I believe you. Okay, wait, I
Back
found
up.
his quirk. So the Wash hero has the quirk, which is a superpower, Clean Bubbler. This quirk allows him to create and control soapy waters from his body. The steam is strong enough to keep several people in the air. He can also use this quirk to generate large soapy bubbles that he can use to envelop targets and make them float. And he manages to stay as the number 8 hero the entire story arc.
You know what? Good for him.
Good for
him.
Well,
I don't know anything else about him, but good job.
I guess that's where we're going to be leaving the episode. Good job, Wash Hero. Good job.
As a washing machine.
Thank you for listening to this episode of FanDive. We'll be back again next Monday diving into yet another fandom. Have a topic you would like us to cover? head over to our website, fandive.tumblr.com. There you can also find any episode relevant images and general shenanigans that we get up to. It is Tumblr, after all. We're not ashamed of being fans of things.